Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Well, this was a unusual week. What a roller coaster. With us today to give us a financial report for Sunday morning, we have John Terret, a longtime reporter and good friend. Well, John, give us an update. What the heck is going on?
Good morning, John. Well, you don't need me to tell you what the big story of the week is. Of course, it was that outbreak of hostilities in the Middle East. Wall Street wonders how long it will last, what the end game is, what the outcome will be. Wall Street is not at all certain. We thought there'd be a big sell-off on Monday. There wasn't. The Dow was down. The Nasdaq, the S&P were in the green, which was pretty eye-popping for most of us on Wall Street. Tuesday, there was a big sell-off after Asia panicked overnight. Wednesday, recovery because the fundamentals of the U.S. economy are still pretty strong. We have had, up until last Friday, strong jobs growth. Inflation is coming down, and the Fed is in the mood to cut. Thursday, there was another sell-off. Friday, well, the worst week at the end of Friday since November of last year. And the problem is oil. Will Iran close the Strait of Hormuz or not? Can Iran close the Strait of Hormuz? No one knows for certain. But on Friday, WTI, the American benchmark, was up 13%. Brent, the global benchmark, was up about 9%. And this on the day when Kuwait is apparently stopping production because it has no more storage space left to store its crude oil because it can't get it out because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. It's not officially closed, but shipping companies won't go through it at the moment, even though the White House is offering insurance and naval protection for vessels going forward. And it's thought that Iraq might be the next country to slow down its oil production. We shall see. Of course, we did have that job shock on Friday, which nobody was expecting. 92,000 jobs lost in the month of February, mainly because of healthcare issues. The Federal Reserve will have to deal with that when they meet a week on Tuesday. In the crypto space, the big story of the week was President Trump weighing in on the Clarity Act, urging it to get done and criticizing the banks for holding it up. Company news, Warner Discovery moving ahead with that $111 billion takeover bid by Paramount. We had earnings from Abercrombie & Fitch, from Kroger, from Costco, from CrowdStrike, and from Broadcom. And late on Friday, the German media company Axel Springer, which owns Politico, the Washington, D.C. insider website and publication, they're buying the UK's Telegraph newspaper, very famous Broad Street newspaper, for $575 million in this changing media landscape. And so to the markets, well, as I said just now, the worst week last week was since November of last year, for all the reasons I've just outlined. And in the week ahead, we have earnings from the department store Kohl's. We've got a lot of inflation data next week, John. CPI, that's consumer inflation, retail sales, pretty much the same thing. And right at the end of the week, we get GDP, a look at the U.S. economy and its growth. John.
Well, thank you for the update. And, well, let's pray for America. And I think, you know what I said to people? I said to people on Friday, and I think I said that to Forbes magazine, I said, under President Biden, we had 4 years of oil at $80, $90, $100 a barrel. Well, I said, maybe in a month's time, the price of oil will go back down again. So you can have 4 years of President Biden or maybe just 1 month of President Trump. Have a nice weekend.
You know, one of the things that's happening on Wall Street, I think, is that people are saying to themselves, well, look, you know, we've kind of lived through this before. You know, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, there's been the COVID, there was the global financial crash, and it all kind of, you know, comes out right in the end. I think that is part of the reason why we haven't seen a massive, massive sell-off on Wall Street this week just gone.
Thank you so much, and let's catch up again next week, and God bless America.
Thanks very much, John. And you see you next week. Bye-bye.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.